Hello again, YouTube. My name is Bree, and in today's video, we're going to be doing another sketchbook tour. So this particular sketchbook, as you can see, is a very tiny sketchbook. This is my etchr A6. If you've been here before, you have probably seen the sketchbook in multiple videos because it has been used quite a few times on this channel. And I just finished it last week. For anyone who's been keeping up, I also just finished my programming class last week, so I should have a lot more free time coming up soon. And wow, my voice is not awake yet. It's still pretty early, but I wanted to go ahead and get this video filmed while the house was still quiet. So, starting out, I actually started this sketchbook in August of 2019. If you haven't noticed, I do work in a lot of sketchbooks at the same time, so they tend to take me a long time to finish. And I finished this one last week, so it took 22 months to complete. I did not start with the swatch page. I came back and did it later. I regret not using the front cover where the paper is glued down for something more interesting, but that's okay. Live and learn. These were swatches for the etchr and Viviva color sheets that I got much later. And if this color looks yucky to you, don't worry, they agreed and they replaced it because it wasn't as vibrant as it should be. And I'll talk a bit more about those later because I did do only one sketch with them. So to start out, first of all, if you're new to etchr sketchbooks and you are already turned off by all this information on these sketchbooks, please note that they did listen to consumer feedback and remove all of this information. So now if you get one of these sketchbooks, it doesn't have the writing inside and every page is completely usable. So this bird is the first thing I painted in an etchr sketchbook. I wanted to use it as both an opportunity to try this sketchbook and the mini palette that I also got from etchr. I can show that off later probably. I'm not sure where it is right now, but I wanted to try that portable palette with all these new paints I bought from Daniel Smith, and I painted this, I think it's called an Amethyst Starling, and honestly, it might be one of my favorite things in this sketchbook. It's so cute. And then to not waste paint, I used the same paint like leftover and just a little added from the mixing tray for this one. And I think this is just a great example of like a good moment in time to place how much I've grown just within the sketchbook. Because yeah, my art style from here to here has evolved so much, and I'm really proud of the progress I've made in this sketchbook. And it sounds like my voice has woken up finally. So this page, I wanted to practice more animals because I got granulating colors. I thought it would be good for fur. I know Denise Sodden from In Liquid Color uses a lot of these paints to do animal portraits. And I also wanted to pay some respect to the animals that are often used to make paintbrushes for watercolor. So the Siberian weasel, and he's much cuter than that. This is a poor representation of this little weasel. They're the Kolinsky sable brushes, and then red squirrel is used for squirrel hair paintbrushes. So I personally use synthetic brushes. I'm not vegan or even vegetarian. I don't eat a lot of meat, but I do try to eliminate animal products where I don't think it's necessary. And I know you can argue that it's not necessary to eat animal products. And you know what? One day I'll probably go back and consider that standpoint further. But in the meantime, I just think these animals are way too adorable to use for paintbrushes. But that's just my viewpoint, and I think there's a lot of amazing synthetic brushes out there. But if you don't agree with me, that's fine. It's just I'm not going to use them. This is kind of a sad version of a bird. Someone had pointed out that when I painted the Amethyst Starling, they said that the fairy wren was their favorite, and I tried to paint one, and I don't know what happened to him. He looks a little bulbous. Poor dude. But they are very cute and colorful. And then this would have been Inktober 2019. If you saw my previous sketchbook tour, I did the first like 15 days of Inktober in that. Then I was on vacation and I came back and did not really continue Inktober. I continued daily sketching, but I was working on my travel journal. But I did want to do one final ink piece just to end Inktober strong. So I got this little bat. This is where I kind of learned that India ink does not work great on cotton paper. It really spreads. And then I forgot about this and made the same mistake later in a different sketchbook. But this is India ink and Diamine Oxblood fountain pen ink. I did not give myself enough space on my table. So this is I mentioned earlier with the etchr and Viviva color sheets. I did try them again later in the sketchbook. This is the only piece I've done with them. Basically what I discovered is that while they're beautiful and vibrant, is that they lift very easily. They do not layer, so basically they don't work with my watercolor style. However, I thought these would be incredible for doing like quick pen and ink sketches. I do want to practice urban sketching and just being more brave and taking my sketchbook out and doing quick studies, quick sketches of the environment around me and throwing color on it for like moments where I don't have time. I also want to do plein air. But for moments I don't have time or I'm just at a coffee shop for a quick doodle, I think these would be amazing for that. But then the pandemic happened and there was no going out. So these have not been used. I have them. I definitely want to use them more. But it's not been a good time for them. And then this particular bird was my first YouTube video. And looking back on this, yeah, I think I've gotten better about setting up my workspace and filming and being able to see what I'm doing and being a little bit more brave in front of the camera because it is a lot harder to paint when you're set up to film, at least for me. And it's part nerve, part setup. But yeah, so this is a wren. I believe they're local to my area and they're adorable. So this is a little mermaid I did, and yes, it's censored. I just wanted to play with some of the granulating paints in my miniature palette again and do something simple. This was actually a very quick sketch that just came together really easily for me, and I really liked it, and I tried to replicate that same style of painting in this one, and it wasn't working for me, and honestly I just gave up. It's not something I could go back and fix that and do more with it, but I'm also trying to get better about just moving on if a piece isn't working for me. So this painting is definitely on my channel. I think when I painted it, I had the strap holding the lower part of this page, so it didn't look like I had as much wasted space at the time, and I don't know why I never went back and did a little doodle or filled up that space. But yeah, this was just a fun little one. I think I hadn't painted much recently, and I was really stressed out and just wanted to do something different. And the format, it was actually kind of fun to paint like that. Really hard to film though. So this is Casein, also a video on this channel. So you know what? I'm just going to link in the description if you're interested in seeing any of these as a video. That way I don't have to go through and tag everything and you can reference it later. So if I say it's a video and you're interested, just go down to the description below and I'd appreciate that. So casein is a type of paint that uses casein, which is a milk protein, as a binder. It's very similar to gouache in the fact that it can be used like watercolor and then it dries matte, but it is completely permanent. Like there's casein paintings that are 9,000 years old that you could still kind of see in caves. It's a very old style of paint making. So editing Brie here, I definitely lost some audio here. So basically what I was saying is that Richardson, the company who still makes casein, hosted an event last year called Casein 2020, where if you paid $50, you not only were eligible to submit a piece of art for this juried competition, but you also received a kit that came with the paint, some paintbrushes, some paper, everything you needed to get started. And this was my first go at using the casein. I did the swatches and then I painted this little magpie. And yeah, I have a video for this, and I'm otherwise not really sure what I was saying in this gap. But yeah, this was a really cool event, and I actually was a runner-up, which not to be confused with honorable mention, but it was cool. This little, depending on your personal taste, ugly or cute baby bird, actually I think it says on the page, we went on a walk Easter of 2020, and we came back and we heard screaming, and I should like really put a warning on that, sorry. Basically there was a nest in our palm tree and it fell out during the windstorm and the birds fell out. We were able to rescue 2 of them and build them a new nest and get it back up in a tree. And we definitely, like, if you see this happen, call your local animal rescue group. They were actually able to get us to someone on the phone that day who gave us instruction, let us know, because I was personally terrified that if we touched the birds or touched the nest that the parents would abandon them. And they actually, in the case of grackles, they don't. But the parents might swoop at you, so they gave us some safety precautions and we're able to get them back up in their nest. And then the parents, both the male and female grackle, raised the young. So they took them back in, took care of them, and yeah, they eventually learned to fly and moved off on their own. So it was nice to see them make it. It was very, very upsetting at the time, but I wanted to record that memory, that moment in time with the little baby bird. We put it in a green container, so it was like kind of green. I already moved on with the pages. And then I was playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, which coincidentally was just re-released, and I kind of want to play the new version for the Yuffie story. I planned to do a bunch more fan art, just to, you know, nostalgia factor, but I only got as far as, oh my goodness, Biggs. I couldn't think of his name for a second. And yeah, I just really liked playing with the granulation in the background on this one, and that became something I did a lot more of. This was also, I think, the first piece I shared within a Discord community that I had joined around this time, and I've become very good friends with a lot of people in that group, so extra bonus point memories for that. This one was the next piece I was doing, and I just never finished it. It wasn't working for me. I was having a lot of issues with it, and I realized I wasn't motivated to keep working it, and I wasn't gonna be happy if I kept pushing myself to work on it. So I just bailed. It's okay to give up on something that you're not enjoying. And then this was something, so during this time for both these both the pages in this spread, I was taking Justin Donaldson's landscape painting class, so I didn't have a ton of free time. And then this, I think it was Demon June, and I love Demon June. It's basically a smaller painting challenge where you paint demons every day in June, like similar to Junicorn with unicorns. And I hadn't gotten to participate, so I did a quick little demon boy. Editing Braid Part 2, lost some more audio, but basically, thanks to my landscape painting class, I was really starting to pay attention to values and noticed that my paintings were lacking because I was not paying enough attention to them, especially here. So I started to focus more on like value in skin, and it made a lot of difference. Go figure. Basic skills, they help. And then this was that same Discord community I mentioned earlier. Someone was going through her paint and realized she had a lot, and she's like, hey, pick 3 numbers and I'll paint something in those 3 colors. And I asked if she would pick 3 from her collection, and so I could use that as a palette. And it was, I don't think I had the exact colors, but it was like olive green, quinacridone violet, and Naples yellow. So I painted this little northern violet crowned wood nymph bird because it seemed to fit those colors, and I like painting little birds. And then this is actually gouache. I say that like that's mind-blowing. I don't know why. But this So more for the landscape painting class. I think this was the 4th or 5th lesson. We were doing plein air, which is going outside and painting your environment. And we were told to spend no more than 90 minutes on a painting. And I paint very slowly, but because you're outside, the lighting changes, so much of the environment can change within 90 minutes. So that's the goal. Capture as much as you can in that time. And it looks like a river. It really is just kind of like a retention pond with some small trees because everything is kind of young in my neighborhood. I didn't go that far because the weather hadn't been great. And then there's actually houses all along here, but I didn't have time to paint them, and I should have just put in simple blocks. But I struggled in this class primarily because I was learning gouache at the same time as I was trying to learn landscapes, and I do plan to take it again where I could focus on just the landscape portion and not struggle with my medium as much. Nevertheless, I did have fun with this. I did like it. I didn't like the ants that crawled all over me while I was painting it, but lessons learned. And I did a little bird just because you gotta throw in a bird for scale. It's a small bird. Well, it's a medium-sized bird. And then this is where I got my beam paints. This is also a video, my first time with the beam paints, doing the swatches and the painting itself. I did a kingfisher. I don't remember which kind, maybe belted. But yeah, I really do love these paints. I do have just the small cookie, which is like the little dots of paint, so it is difficult to get like the really rich tones sometimes, especially if you're using a bigger brush, but for smaller paintings like this, it's perfect. Okay, so this was just, I know at this point, once again, I hadn't been painting that much, and I just did a little doodle, kind of one of those mindless doodles, and see what happens. Nothing really to say about that one. And this one, another Discord community, this one actually Justin Donaldson's, who taught the landscape painting class. I think this was between landscape painting and gouache. They were doing a weekly challenge where it was a type of environment or something you'd find in the environment and you study and paint it. They still do things like that. It's actually really awesome. It's a great group, lots of different study groups. But I think it was like mist and fog. So I found an old picture of mine from Volcanoes National Park in Hawaii where these steam vents released all this steam, and I did this in watercolor, and I actually really enjoyed this one. It was something I didn't spend too long on, but I really liked how the steam came out, and yeah, it was fun. And then I did this one as well for the same group. I think the next one was like cliff faces, or maybe just cliffs in general, or rocks. I don't remember. So I did Zion National Park. I've not been here. This is on my list of places I really do want to go though. And once again, not much to say about it. There's some wild colors in the reference photo, but I don't have context for the location itself. And then I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, and I was really excited because there were these cute foxes, and they take you to a shrine, and yet at the same time, the first like 3 foxes I encountered like tried to get me killed. I think one glitched and made me accidentally jump off a cliff, and then the next 2 led me into enemies, so I wanted to just paint a really malicious looking little fox. The next 40 or something in the game were much kinder, so I think I just had bad luck there in the beginning. I just started to think they were all trickster foxes. And at this point, I am taking the gouache painting class, which meant I wasn't doing Inktober last year, which was fine, being that there was so much controversy surrounding Inktober last year. But Justin and some others did a Gouache-tober event with 4 prompts for 4 weeks, and I managed a whopping 1 of them. Because gouache does tend to transfer to the page on the opposite side, I skipped that first page and just wrote down the prompt so I'd have it for reference later. So this was organic, inorganic. This is also a video on this channel, and I think the only one I have where I'm painting in gouache. So if you're interested, once again, I'll link below. At this point, I think I was done with classes or getting close to being done with them, and wanted to get back into watercolor, just doing some more comfort zone style things, but I was a little unmotivated. So I started to go through different palettes I hadn't used recently and use them kind of exclusively just to, do something different and maybe inspire something. So I started out with the beam paints, and did these two little... I have a thing for vest. I don't know why. So, two little people wearing vests. And then this palette is really, it wasn't meant to be a palette that was usable on its own. So these were the colors in it, and honestly the first four are really old, and I don't know if the paints are problematic because they're old or because they're just not great paints. And then the next few were from someone on the Discord community. One of my Discord communities made them. It's like an early batch, so I don't know if they're the highest quality paints, just because, when you're first starting to learn, it's fair. They were just selling them for cheap. And then the last three were new paints I had bought. I bought Perlene Green, and then a friend sent me a half pan of each Perlene Maroon and Thio Indigo Violet from Da Vinci. So those were the only three high quality paints, and I struggled with this one. This I got later and was just swatching. It was a gift from Secret Santa, and I had the space here, and it's Winsor Newton Ultramarine Violet, and it is gorgeous. But that was not used in this painting. And then this one, once again, has a video on this channel. This was when I got the... Oh my goodness. Mariah Beth and Fineliner Nerd collaborated on a palette of 6 colors. And this was the first thing I painted with it. And I love that little palette. I will probably be pulling out again soon. It's just a great skin tone palette and such a pleasure to work with. And it smells amazing. And I need water. Hold on. What I really need is coffee, but we'll do that after the video. So yeah, really love these paints, and I love how I painted the jawbone here, and I really want to do more of that. I don't know why, that's like my favorite thing about this painting. So continuing on the using palettes I hadn't used much, this was, my friend jokingly told me to paint with every color, one painting with every color in my Kuretake Gansai Tambi set, which is like 36 colors. I didn't grasp that it was a joke. And yeah, so I did, and I don't like this at all because, yeah, mixing 36 colors in one painting is just, it's a lot. I don't recommend that. And then this one is a sketch for a character I was working on for my first D&D campaign. I'm playing in it. I'm not running it. I don't know terminology, apparently. It's still really early. So I had created a character, and I think I didn't know much about D&D, and we're still like very early on. I think we've only done like 4 sessions because we meet about once a month, and we haven't had, I think we skipped last month. But I wanted to create a character I would enjoy painting because that was the part I was looking forward to the most at that point. I was really nervous about like remembering the rules and screwing up and meeting new people because I'm an introvert and I had been quarantined for a year and didn't know how to talk to people. So yeah, but my character is a half elf, rogue. I chose rogue because I figured that would be easier to learn than trying to deal with all the magic systems right off the bat. And his name is Alizarin because I was working on my swatch book and I love that color, and then I saw someone else swatch it from a different brand and I'm obsessed, so it just kind of was like, yeah, I'm going with that. Very, very creative, this one is. And then, oh, I didn't realize I painted him again right away. I was still just trying to figure things out. I kind of want to paint him again. I guess I did create a character I like, so that's a good sign. And in general, I have trouble painting the same character over and over again and making them look the same. So it's been a good learning experience there, doing different angles and trying to make it look like the same character. And then this is Sketchbook Club. Okay, I don't remember why it was. Oh, I got it. So this was a Reddit Gets Drawn. I think it's Dude No 5335, and this was a really quick sketch. Basically, there was a group of us at the end of the year that decided we were going to start doing voice chats on Discord and painting while we chatted, kind of like a coffee shop vibe. So I think that's why we called it Sketchbook Club. And this was the first one I did on that 1st of January, so Happy New Year. And then I continue with the Reddits Get Drawn, but it did a little bit more on my own time so I could spend more time on it. And I really like how these came out. So all of their names are listed. This is their Reddit handles. So we have Creepy Toes. I can't read. My eyes are still so tired. Kenzie XOXO, and if I can't read these, I'm gonna guess that it's not easy on the camera either. Golden Baby Child. So if you're not familiar, Reddit Gets Drawn is basically a subreddit on the the website reddit.com, where people post photos of themselves or pets or friends, and basically it's a free license to draw them and then share it back with them if you're willing. And it's a great way to practice because they're giving away a ton of different unique photos since so many different users use that site. So you get just different poses, different people, and different animals. It's really cool. So if you're looking for just ideas, drawing references, practice, it's a great place. Some people on there are super committed and will constantly do as many as possible, and it's amazing to see what people come up with too. But in any case, I did a bit of that just to practice. I hadn't been drawing women and wanted to practice painting women. I think these women were all just absolutely gorgeous and gave great reference photos. So I especially loved her dress. She was beautiful, and I definitely need to learn to paint more skin tones. This was also a video here. I think it was why you should paint bad art. Going back to the whole just not being motivated thing and giving yourself that allowance to just make whatever comes out and not feel that you have to make good stuff every time you sit down, because I get stuck in that rut where I don't want to create because I don't feel I could do a good job. And then a little sketchy magpie and some fun hair. This was another Reddit Gets Drawn that I just never finished because I hadn't had much time and I was working on it so little by little that it felt like it was going on for ages. But she had really pretty hair and there was so much color in her shirt and her hair, and it was a really great picture. I should have finished it. And then this was Discord Sketchbook Club reference photo. This was just a quick sketch. Someone had shared that as the topic for the week, and I don't paint with a lot of orange, so I thought it would be an interesting one to just kind of simplify. This spread is a mess. I'm not going to focus much on it. I was just not having good art vibes. And then this one was another sketchbook club from that same Discord. We were challenged to create a painting that focused on PR 254. So I had Pyrrole Red and Scarlet Red from Daniel Smith and Schminke respectively. And I think I used, oh my goodness, I don't know which one I used. I must have used the Daniel Smith one. So these are the extra colors I added in. That's a Payne's Gray, Yellow Ochre, and Indanthrone Blue. And I did some fan art for Persona 5 because I was playing strikers, I think. So when I thought red, that's where my head went. And then this was back to our little D&D group. One of my friends is playing a tabaxi druid, so I wanted to paint her character. She basically collects all the animals we find, and it's adorable. And then this was back to the same Discord, a single pigment orange challenge. It wasn't specified what pigment, and I ended up using PO48, I believe, quinacridone burnt orange. Oh, it says at the bottom. So I picked it just because it does have a very wide range of colors and a very deep mass tone for an orange. And I just did this quick little sketch. And then I was watching Invincible, which I read the comic so many years ago. I never finished it. And if you've read the comic, you probably know exactly where I stopped because it got really oof. But I was enjoying the show, so I painted this while watching, I think, episode 6 or 7. And then I was liking fan art, so I asked if you would be interested. Well, not you specifically, but on Instagram I asked if people would be interested in doing suggesting characters for a 6 fan art challenge, and they were. So I started with oh my goodness, I'm going blank again. Adeline Colin from Stormlight Archives. And then this is actually, if you can see, there's a second piece under here. Basically, I really screwed this up the first time, and then I just cut a different piece of etchr sketchbook paper out of my A4 and taped it in, so it's the same paper, but yeah. And then I did Jack Frost, which this was on YouTube, so once again, linked below. And then I think his name is Julian Blackthorne. He's from one of the Cassandra Clare Shadowhunter novels. I haven't really read those, but it was suggested, and I drew this one out of a cup. So I just kind of read like his physical description on one of the wiki pages, and then realized that the character, like a lot of fan art, didn't seem to meet that description. So I kind of just tried my own thing, and I think it worked. People seemed happy, so that's cool because I don't know that character. And then we have Fitz from the Farseer trilogy, or Realm of Elderling, from Robin Hobb. I'm currently reading Live Ship Traders, so I'm very much into this series right now. They're getting progressively lazier at this point. I just want to be done with this sketchbook and this challenge. And then, God, what's his name? Gojo Satoru from Jujutsu Kaisen, which I watched a little bit of. Really not following pop culture. And then finally, John Wick from John Wick, and this one I did spend a fair bit more time on, but I was having issues with the paper. You might be able to see some texture off to the side. It was really obvious when I was painting it. I think just because of maybe the stickers or everything in the pocket, this page had its sizing worn off a little bit, especially around the edges, and it was becoming difficult to work with, so I didn't quite finish what I wanted to do, but I'm still pretty happy with it. And that's it. This sticker is from, I'm going to, if I don't get her name right, you'll know what it is, 0073.uv, I believe. She goes by Walter's mom on Instagram. Well, I mean, she goes by that handle, but she refers to herself as Walter's mom. She has an awesome cat. And then in this pocket, I just have, which is probably what really hurt this page, this is for when that one time I did plein air painting, so you could help frame what you're looking at. So I'll probably move that to a different sketchbook for future use. And this is just a note that came with my Mariah Beth and Fine Liner Nerd palette. So let's put that back in there. And that's it. So I don't know how long I've been talking. I do know I need coffee, so I'm not going to talk much longer, but thank you all for joining me today for this sketchbook. Sketchbook is really like clinging, all the cat fur clings to this textured cover. But yeah, this is a great sketchbook. I really do love working in the sketchbook. So I do have two etchr A4s that I haven't finished yet, and I have like the next step up model with the gray cover that I plan to use in the future. But for now, I'm just going to be working in my sketchbooks that were gifted to me by my friend Spof, and we'll see. So definitely recommend the sketchbook if you were interested in my thoughts on it. Otherwise, I think I've talked long enough. I want my coffee and maybe a nap. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in a future video. Bye.